chat. Let me see if I have a picture. I see a thing for GIF. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna get out and see if I can pull it off the chat from last night.
Okay. I'll go ahead and welcome everybody to the quarterly Zoom call, which may have been the half-year Zoom Hangout things. I looked at my calendar and I'm like, oh, I think I let the third quarter slip away, which I didn't want to do. Things got kind of slammed with the economy opening back up and people doing gigs and traveling. And I like to do these on Saturday mornings, and I just didn't have one where I was home. Everything was away, or I was traveling on Saturday morning or whatever, and couldn't really find a quiet place to do it. So my plan is to do another Zoom call before the end of the year, and maybe that one we'll do the last week of December, kind of in between the holidays, when hopefully most people are down and off, and we can really hit the goals for 2022, which as we know now, the goals are not always easily accomplished because there's a lot of stuff that's out of our control. All of it's out of our control, but we learned that there was a lot out of our control in the past 18 months, 20 months, whatever it's been. So this call, I just wanted to do kind of catch up with everybody and see where we're at, and then see if there's any way we can help each other out, or just kind of talk through anything that's bugging you, but also share what some things that are working, so that as people are ramping back up, we can get some success, motivation, moving towards the right direction. So on the call with me so far today, we've got John Peters and Max Winfrey. John, what's going on with you up there, sir?
Oh, lots of good things. Like I said before, I'm doing a lot of writing. Have a monthly gig at the church. Really enjoying that. And I'm developing a comic perspective. I went out for a walk today and just to stretch my legs, and I got a semblance of a joke. I came and wrote it, read it to my wife. She said it's not funny. But wives never think it's funny anyway.
That's always brutal when the spouse doesn't support. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it just means it's a good premise. I have to punch up.
Well, how about today we get on that and see if we can wind it up a little bit.
That'd be great. Yeah.
We'll do that. And then Max is traveling. He's in Wheeling, West Virginia, but taking time out in between gigs. How's it going there, Max?
Good. I had a gig last night with Eric Estrada and the movie star cover girl for 30 years, Jennifer O'Neill.
Yeah, I think
beautiful people, fine Christians, and we did a veterans and first responders event. And tonight we're doing something for the public. So I did about 10 minutes last night and do about 10, 12 minutes tonight, I think. And so pretty easy and nice people, but interesting. The veterans last night, I thought, from a comic perspective, and my wife appreciated this too, because she was sitting with me. They had different, they were recognizing different people in the community. And one was a 95-year-old World War II survivor. Wow. And veteran. And apparently he owns like 6 businesses in the community. He was mayor for like 15 years. So he's really involved, very well known in the area. And still is involved day to day with business, and like he's like one of these energetic seniors that you can't believe is 95, but he's very passionate about the country. And he kept going on and on about it's all about you people. We do this for you. This is what we fought for our country. It's for you. And he kept recognizing everybody in the room and just loving on the people. But he had stood up when they recognized him. And they hadn't brought him up to the podium because they were taking a break in the program, but he wanted to go ahead and speak. So he starts making a speech, and he keeps going on, and he's very impassioned. And I started laughing with my wife. I'm like, security's going to come get him and escort him out. And he's like, the whole premise of having to escort someone out because they won't stop loving the people in the room. I just thought that was really funny to me. We started laughing when I said security's going to come. I could just see like on one arm, one on each arm of these big security guards escorting a little old man from World War II out because he was too passionate and loving or something, and he wouldn't stop.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
in
it's
between them going,
funny.
I did all this for you guys. How are you guys? As he's going out.
Yeah, he was talking about, I guess they wanted to stop him from doing his businesses or something. Maybe, I don't know, his family or somebody was trying to, I don't know. And he says, I had to fight them and I won. And he was like raising his fist in the air. It was just a bizarre, but then like, he was getting hugs from the females, you know, he loved hugging the females. And so the Jennifer O'Neill like hugged him like 6 or 7 times, you know, it was just really, it was funny. I love stuff like that. Real life comedy, you know, that happens in front of you. Just, it gives you ideas about concepts for comedy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a great sketch.
And then
Yeah.
the whole concept of being escorted out by security for doing something that's too good. I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah.
It really made me start thinking, you know.
It'd be like
You're used to
escorting
seeing
Mother
people-
Teresa out of the Nobel Prize award, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's a different day and time now. We have so many bizarre social things and people that are offended in some way. And you're watching people get away with stuff they would never get away with before. Like they're just allowed free reign because of politics.
Mhm.
I was on a plane once and we had a lady that was in full Nigerian traditional garb from her country, and she had a language barrier and she didn't understand that she really had to buckle her seatbelt for the plane to go and taxi and take off. Well, she wasn't doing it, so they brought the plane back to the gate.
Right.
And they were going to get her off the plane, but she started making a ruckus and going up and down the aisles, yelling. They couldn't get her under control because nobody could communicate with her. And it taught me at the time that if you're dressed a certain way, or if you're an older woman or something of color, they're not going to lay a glove on you. Like you can do whatever you want on a plane. They're not going to touch it. I'm telling you, they called SWAT. They called SWAT team in. And when the people, they exhausted all the things on the plane, all the procedures, and I was sitting in first class, I got bumped up, and the guy across the aisle from me is a Delta representative. He's like a guy that does lectures on customer service. And so I'm bouncing ideas off him, like, this is what they should do. And I said, you know, what they should do is they should have the people right around her get up, grab their belongings, start deplaning, and she'll follow them thinking that the flight is over. That's what they should do. I said that from the beginning, and he said, no, they have their procedures. Everybody I told that idea to, the flight attendant, the red coat guy from the gate, and even the captain, I told him my idea, and all of them said, sir, we have our procedures. Don't worry, we got this. So when they call SWAT, and they're coming in with the baseball caps, the uniforms, bulletproof vests, the whole 9 yards, they rolled up like right to on the tarmac with the vehicles, everything. I looked at the guy across the aisle. I said, this lady's going to eat them for breakfast. He goes, no, this is SWAT. They've got their procedures on it. Those SWAT team came down the aisle, passed us in first class, and went back to her. And they were like all, you know, confident and, you know, we're SWAT. I saw them come back up the aisle dejected and just defeated. Like SWAT couldn't touch her. They couldn't bring themselves to grab her. And so then when the SWAT deplaned, that was, I never thought I'd see that in my life, but SWAT like leaves the scene and this lady is still going. And the red coat guy who I'd initially told my idea to, he comes back up to me and he whispers in me, sir, we're going to try it your way. And then they went back. All the people got up just right around her, not the whole plane. They got up. She deplaned. It was the sweetest thing. This man who's middle-aged had his arm around her, comforting her as they walked off the plane. They got her off. They got right back going. Even first class, we stayed. We never got off. It was just the people right around her. Worked like a charm, you know.
Interesting.
But it was, you know, this was post 9/11, everything. This is when security is a really serious business. But this lady that was dressed a certain way had a certain skin color, you know, you just, I felt it. It was palpable. You can't handle everybody the same way you would handle like any terrorist or anything. You can't do it. You know,
Yeah.
it's not in these times because people have cell phones. They have, you know, eyewitness testimony. And it was interesting. They said, folks, please, no cell phone video. Give her some dignity. You know, so people were really pretty respectful about it. But yeah, it was interesting.
I wonder if she realized that all they were saying is buckle your seatbelt, she would just buckled it. Like,
Right. They
Right.
did have a guy on the plane that spoke some of her language, and he was staying with her to try to convey, but she was ballistic. I mean, she was beside herself. She just, I don't know if she was tired from too much all day travel or what it was, but she was older, but she was frantic. And she was, I mean, she had free reign. She was running up and down the aisles, just carrying on. And it was just, it really stuck with me. It's like, man, if you're dressed or look a certain part, they're not going to touch you.
yeah.
You
So
know?
you have your airport outfit now that you wear, like
Like I dress like the Nigerian.
I wear my kung fu outfit and
Or granny high heels. Yeah, I'm gonna try those.
Do you ever work with Noodles Levinstein, the comedian Noodles?
I don't know that.
He's this guy that used to tour with Andrew Dice Clay. He was the opening act, and he's a ship comic a lot. And he's just super nice guy, but he has a certain look about him. He looks like a terrorist. He's super funny, super skinny, but just his whole look and everything. You would say if you put his in a lineup, you could maybe pass him off. Back in the day, and post 9/11, we were sitting at a gate waiting for a plane, and they're talking about boarding, and he reaches in his bag and he gets out this hat, and it's a tourist hat, like with orange and all these kind of colors, and he puts it on his head. And I go, "What's with the hat?" And he goes, "Well, when I walk through, I get secondary screening because of the way I look." And he says, I can't take it. It happens all the time. I'm traveling alone, and I look this way. He says, I have to appear to look a different way because the average person who's running security, it will probably help me go through. And
Right.
It works very well.
And
He was dead serious.
He's like, I only buy one-way tickets, and I'm transporting these 3 bowling balls that have candles sticking out of the finger holes. I don't know why they keep stopping me. I love this country.
It's funny. He's got a funny act. He does an impression of a turkey 3 days after Thanksgiving, and he turns sideways and lifts up his shirt and sucks in his stomach, and he's really skinny, and you can see the ribs, like the carcass of the turkey's been picked clean. Very funny.
Oh, that's craziness, man. Yeah, there's so much. Like, I don't know if it's better, worse, or just more complicated now with all the wokeness or whatever you want to call it. Like, everybody's aware that you should treat people better, but they're also aware that means you should treat me better too, and that I should have the equal rights to people who have been given lesser rights by our society. Like, there's almost a reverse entitlement of, I guess that's what Karens are. They feel like they've been, all of their power's been taken away. So now they're going to stand up and just tell you, no, you're wrong. But it's weird how it's kind of come back around to where nothing's been accomplished. Like, it's more difficult for everybody just to get along, as opposed just to kind of being okay with everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot to navigate.
I love the irony of many of these situations, because you're just not ready for some of it. How the pendulum kind of goes one way, and then you're like, all right, well, what about this? And then people are just kind of scratching their head, not knowing how the new rules. Like,
Right.
You think if you're a public figure or you're on stage or something, I just look around and I see a minefield. Like, anywhere you step, you could really mess up big. And then somebody's recording. This is, suddenly your national news. You could just blow up for any number of reasons,
Yeah. I had a line that came out of my mouth at my gig in Arizona. It's a big construction company, and there's maybe 4 or 5 females in the group, but it's mostly males. And I was just talking about marriage and, the typical thing you do at some of these corporate events, who's been married the longest amount of time, and this lady had been married for 45 years. And so I said, so what's your secret? And she goes, I married my best friend. I'm like, well, my best friend's name is Scott. That would have been a big problem for my family. Luckily, everybody laughed. And then afterwards, I'm like,
And
oh,
then you're
someone's going
like,
to come up
oh,
afterwards and
no.
go. But everybody was on
I-
board. Well, let me
I
finish.
had some,
At the end, I get the 2 guys up to sing about, I'm just a guy and they're proud to be manly men. And so I say, can I have the 2, because there's 2 companies merging, can I get the 2 CEOs to come up here? And so they come up and I'm like, you guys proud to be manly men? And became apparent to me that one is a manly man and the other has an alternative lifestyle. And he goes, well, he is.
oh my gosh.
But the whole group laughed, and it was just such a healthy laugh. Like, it was like 20 years ago when people were like, yeah, we're different. It's funny, but he sang right along and there was no repercussions or anything. So it was the first time in a long time where I felt like there's 2 landmines I could have stepped on, but I'm just being honest and not naive, but I'm just living in the real world. And everybody knew I wasn't trying to make any harm from it. Like, there's no way I could have known that the other CEO was not a manly man, or that this lady didn't marry her best friend, which could have been a girl, and that would have thrown my joke off. It's just, I think that's the ultimate way to get out of things, is just be honest about it. And so if I didn't have any ill intent, then it can still be funny. Although some people will still find fault with whatever.
Yeah, it's true. I worked Disney Cruise Line a lot, and they were really uptight there. And the problem with that whole brand and company is they bend over backwards to not offend or to be inclusive. And so they know, the average public knows the culture, and many people will try to take advantage, and they'll falsely complain. And so they're always getting inundated with lawsuits and threats of lawsuits for any number of reasons. And on the cruise, it's the same people are still out there looking. Some are opportunists, And I used to do a thing in my show. I still do it some, when I juggle lipstick, bowling ball, pogo stick, and I ask for an item from the audience, and I try to steer it towards lipstick. And a lot of times the woman who has lipstick will give it to her son, and her son will run it up to the stage. And of course, the audience doesn't see all that. And when I ask for lipstick, a little boy brings it up, and I go, "Thank you, little boy." And of course, it's a big laugh. I'm just kind of standing there frozen. And then I go, "I think a little more father-son time would be good for you." So that gets a good reaction. In fact, I'm going to keep this for after class. We're going to talk, And so I kind of make a bit, and then I circle back when I give the lipstick back. I make sure everybody knows that, we were joking around, and it's not his lipstick, it's his mother's lipstick. But somebody complained. Somebody had, I guess, a cousin that was, alternative lifestyle. And so the parent tried to say that their child said, "Does that mean cousin Timmy they would laugh at cousin Timmy because he likes makeup or something?" And so they tried to make it this big thing, and they wanted me to take it out. And I said, "Look," I said, I can really appreciate what you're saying." I said, I'm pretty meticulous. I've been doing this a long time for the company. And I said, "But you cannot perform hundreds of shows for thousands of people and not get an odd comment." And I said, "We have to look at these and we have to take them seriously. But I think statistically speaking, if I was getting this on a regular basis, it would show that I'm, but this is a once in a, many, many, many shows comment." And I said, "Furthermore, Disney owns ABC, and ABC's #1 hit show is Modern Family. And all they do is make fun of the alternative lifestyle. And they step in and out of jokes all the time between a conservative and, someone who's different." And I said, "And that's the whole show." I said, "So to come after me about, a lipstick thing, I don't, I want to respect your wishes here." And so their comeback was, that's a nighttime show, and it's not necessarily families. And I'm like, well, they have kids on the show. It's about families. It's called Modern Family.
Right.
But, I'll take it out, just as out of respect for your wishes, but I respectfully disagree. Basically,
Yeah.
we had a nice conversation. It was management, and so.
Interesting. Yeah, I did one Disney cruise and I had a similar story. And by the way, Mr. Hardy, what's going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, Rick? Can you hear me?
I can, and now I've got even more respect for you. I didn't know you played bass. You play bass?
Oh, well, I'm learning how to play bass. I have to utilize those talents, man. You never know when you might be called to play a gig somewhere. So, I just want to be ready at all times. So, maybe that could be my speaker into the comedy world. But other than that, yeah, I'm an undercover musician. I kind of went to school. Well, I didn't kind of, but I went to school for it, and for videography, audio engineering, and that's something that always played a role in my life throughout years. And I don't know. I'm a man with many talents.
I see a keyboard there too. Is that a keyboard on your left?
Yeah, I have a well, right here, you can't see it, but it's a old vintage keyboard, which is a Sonic ASR 10. And to my left, I have a Native Instruments complete keyboard. And all the way over there is like my rack gear, a lot of preamps and turntables, vinyl records. As you can see, I'm a big 45 collectors of old records. And I get paid to do remixes. So it's like, hey, yeah, of course I do it. No problem at all. But this is like my own man cave that after 20 years, my wife allowed me to have, but it came at a cost.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, this is my sanctuary. I mean, I got drum machines over here. Like, I'm a big vintage, old school, drum machine. Rick, you might know Roger Lynn. I got one of his first drum machines, which is a MPC 3000, MPC 2000 XL, a MPC Live. Got a Yamaha motif in the other room in the closet. And I told myself this week that I got to start collecting gear. I hope I'm not becoming a hoarder. So now I got to sneak equipment in the house when my wife is asleep. And so she's like, "Hey, where are you going?" I say, "Hey, I'm just about to go to the pawn shop." She said, "You better not buy anything. If you do, you better let me know how we both can make money off of it." But other than that, man, I'm happy to see your face and the other comedians as well too. I woke up this morning and just told myself, I said, "Hey, let me go join some like-minded people that have the same interests as I do in this comedy world." So as you know, I sent you an email. I kind of stepped away for a little bit just to try to reevaluate everything, to try to see, do I really want to do comedy? But I for some odd reason, I can't let it go. It's like a drug now. Ever since I met you a few years ago, you gave me the secrets, how to do comedy, and that response that I get when I'm on stage, your techniques are working. I have comedians call me from time to time, like last week, "Hey, can you help me out to do a set?" I like the way you're structured, because to me, structure is everything to me. And that just one of the things that I hold sincerely close to me, whether, you listen to a lot of other comedians on stage. For one, I know I listen as a audience member, then I come back like a scientist and trying to dissect every bit and word to try to see, okay, where the straight line at, where the punch line at, okay, why did he say this? When did he say it? How did he say it? How did he perform it? Where's the act out? Where's the facial expressions at? Did he step over his lab? So everything, since I met you 4 years ago, I've been doing it. So my wife told me this week, she said, "Hey, Brittany is one of the young ladies that I did comedy with a couple of years ago, was saying, hey, she got an open mic at Rodeo Goat where they sell hamburgers at." I say, "Hey, I'll be there Wednesday night." So I have my set list and I've been rehearsing it, trying to make it conversational. And I think I'm gonna have a great response, because now I have a lot of perspective and outlook on life, because a lot of things happened this year. I went to the doctor for the first time in 7 years, man. And I was so afraid to go because I was afraid to hear the C word, copay. So a lot of things are happening this year. So I can't wait to get back on stage, test these jokes out. And of course, I'm gonna keep it rated PG-13 because like you said once before, if you can work clean, you can work anywhere. So I'm not just gonna be, one of those stereotypical comedians. You go on stage, you think the first thing he's gonna do because I'm black, that's the elephant in the room. Everybody know. So by me coming clean to an audience, and that's what I chose to do, and that's what I chose to take up. It's like, I get invites, people just want me to come see their shows, and what can I do to try to help them to make them better? Because a lot of times when you're out doing comedy work, I noticed that you get bad advice from good comedians. I don't know if it's something that they're afraid that they look at you as competition or you stepping on their feet. But one thing that I do, I be quiet, I observe. I went through a lot of comic teachers before I met you. And I got to say, man, you're one of the best teachers, hands down, putting instruction. Even though I've never been to Nashville to meet you face to face, just doing your homework, doing your lessons, it's paying off. And, I take it seriously. I'm a little excited to get back on stage again. And I told myself this morning, I said, hey, I want to join the crew this morning to check on them, see how they're doing, get some ideas, something that might minister to me throughout the day before I go to karate class. But other than that, man, I'm just glad to see 4 people. That should be many here on this Saturday morning, but I'm going to be quiet because I can talk on forever and forever. So you all have the floor.
Well, thanks for all the compliments. I'm glad things are working and going the right direction for you. I want to let the other guys introduce themselves. Kevin's down in Houston area, right?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, so you're closer to Dallas. I kept thinking you were closer to Houston.
Dallas.
Okay, well, shoot, I was just in Dallas 2 weeks ago. Addison 2 weeks ago. If I'd have known. Here's the weird thing. I did a gig at Top Golf for Make a Wish, and I told them my Make a Wish was to play Top Golf after the gig, and they didn't make it happen. So.
Oh wow.
But
wow. Yeah. Next time you're in Dallas, Rick, let me know, man. I'll be more than happy to meet you. Maybe we'll have lunch one day out here. But Addison is a beautiful area. The crazy thing about it, I got my start out there in Addison, man, at the Addison Improv years ago. That's when I first started learning how to do stand-up. And my first time on stage, man, oh my God. I bummed for 5 minutes and I ate it up for 5 minutes straight, man. I didn't have any structure. Somebody gave me a time slot, and from Addison all the way back to Fort Worth at that time, I was so quiet in the car. My wife was quiet, and she told me, she said, it's okay if you want to cry. I said, I just cry when I go home and turn off the lights. All right. I got to get out of here. I said, I can't believe I thought I was funny. And I said, all my friends said I was funny. I can't believe that they lied to me. Why me out of all people? I said they're gonna remember my face, and it's not even COVID, to be quick.
That's fun. I worked with a comic. I hardly ever do a gig where there's another comic, but 2 weeks ago I did a show in Ohio. They had an opener in the middle, and then I went on, and it was just so fun to watch the other comics. They were both very competent, but the opener had a joke. He goes, boy, tonight's going really good. Last night was so bad. When I got home, I bombed so bad I had to mark myself safe on Facebook. Well, that's cool.
But the crazy thing about it, I took a page from your notebook, man. I wrote down like 10 bombing jokes just in case, I run across that again. But I learned that most bombing comes when you don't keep it tight. And you start inviting everybody to come into your joke. But if you keep it tight, you have a 95% chance leaving that stage safe. And even if the joke don't work, I got those things called backup jokes. Okay, this don't work. Let me throw this in there. That way I can, it's like you're not losing the crowd. You lost them as I didn't get it. And the reason why they probably didn't get it is because you never know that setup had to be like a perfect, like to me, near perfect setup to get them on your side, period. Because once you hook them with that introduction, you got them all throughout the set. And that's what I try to do every time. Like, let me have something to address the crowd when I first come in here. I don't care if it's a white audience, a black audience. Let me make it known that, hey, this guy is kind of funny. I'm interested in him. And that's the reason why I try to do like a lot of relatable stories that's going on like in my life. You know, some of it is fabricated 50% out, but I want people when they leave to say, man, that guy is very interesting. Who is he? Who is he? You know, because I want them to forget about the other comics who just said jokes, you know, transferring from a comic to a comedian, you know, it's one of those most important things that I'm set out to do at the end of this year, even though I'm starting back from ground zero to build myself back up. Cause man, I haven't been on the stage in a while, Rick. And it's like, I kind of felt I lost timing, delivery. And it's like, man, okay, I got to get myself back in there again and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. That way, when 2022 come, if guys say, I'm giving you guys an extension to get it right, I can be ready. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now, mentally wise.
Yeah, I tell you, getting the timing back, that happened to me too. You know, we were doing Zoom shows and stuff, and I was still doing once or twice a month live stuff, but I wasn't doing my full hour, you know, for 6 or 7 months. And I kept thinking, what if I forget all of it, you know?
Oh, wow.
And then eventually I had enough shows that were like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then an hour to where I kind of ramped back up. But there was definitely a noticeable drop off in the quickness and the tightness of things, you know. But it doesn't take too long. Once you get a few shows under your belt, you'll be right back where you were. Because you laid all the groundwork for so long that, you know, it's not like you did it for 2 weeks and took 2 years off and you're trying to get back.
Yeah. But hey, we're going to find out Wednesday, man. I'm going to keep you posted. So I'm leaving the floor for you guys. I don't want to take too much of your time away. I'm very interested in Max and John, and y'all have the floor.
All right. Well, I think what I want to do, so John had an idea for a joke that he was walking around this morning and something came to him. So we'll work on that a little bit. We'll see if Max has anything content wise that maybe we want to do. And then if you have a joke you're working on or an idea, I think we've got enough time. I think we got 5 minutes each of you to tackle something so that you get something specific taken away today. So John, real quickly, tell everybody where you're from and then let's hear your joke idea.
Okay, I'm from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I'm a retired pastor, and we're doing stand-up comedy for about 8 years. I've taken some of Rick's courses, and I agree, Max, he is one of the best, if not the best, clean comedy teacher out there. And so I have benefited greatly, and haven't done one of these hangouts in a while and missed them, so I decided to come back and check in. So. All right.
What was the idea you came to you this morning?
All right, I just cut my hair this morning. I cut my own hair because cheap, broke on Social Security. Okay. So I cut my own hair this morning. So I decided I'm going to start my own business. I'll call it Johnny's Hair Hack Shack. Johnny's Hair Hack Shack. We have different haircuts. There's patchwork cutting called the Chernobyl, a circle cut starting from your northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere called the cyclone, and my favorite, where you cut it very close to the scalp, Custer's Last Stand. That's the joke.
Oh, I think for something that just popped in your head this morning, you got the rule of threes coming in there. You got some alliteration going on in there.
The hack, when he said hack, he can you know, remember how you always talked about, you know, certain words, you know, sound funny when you say them.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the hack, you can kind of play off on that. And not only that, but when you said that you want to open up a barbershop, I think one of the things you can do is do like a quick act out, like of an announcer. Johnny Buzz haircuts, and this is what we specialize in. You know,
you can play it like an ad.
Yeah, like an ad. And that way you'll get some attention there real quick, because what you're doing is that you're shifting from the comedian that you are and into like you're making it interesting, in other words.
Yeah, you get to do a little bit of a character voice. So you could kind of set it up as I like how you started with you cutting your own hair because you're cheap, Social Security, retired. But if we go the other route, that's informational. If we go the other route and go, I cut my own hair, saves a little money. In fact, I'm opening up my own barber shop, even paid for an ad, and then jump right into the ad. Come on down to Johnny's Hack Shack. We got you from top to back. We got the Chernobyl. If you want it all off, we got the Chernobyl. We got the other thing. And for those of you guys who this might be the last one, it's Custard's Last Stand or something, probably for you guys want to take it all off the top. It's Custard's Last Stand. And then you can react to the commercial even.
Wow. Well, how much?
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. I like that idea. I love it.
I came up with
like a
two
picture.
others. I came up with two others, but I nixed them because they're too brutal. The Hiroshima hair and I forgot what the other one was. Oh, the Holocaust hair. And I thought, no.
Yeah, it might be a little over top.
A little bit.
We laughed on just the name of the Chernobyl, and I think that's important because the extremes really get you comedically when you're, that getting that involuntary impulsive laughter and something comes out of left field. Chernobyl is an identifier that's like, annihilation level event. And so when you went to Chernobyl, I think Rick and I automatically laughed just at when Chernobyl was brought in from left field. That's so extreme. And I think some of your names, when you're trying to mine for comedy, you looking for the different levels of whatever haircut, you're on the right track when you bring in Chernobyl. It's just that's a automatic. Yeah, I think it's an automatic success right there.
Yeah, what's interesting about Chernobyl too, and I'm curious if it's the reason subconsciously we laughed at that, is it was a disaster, but it wasn't an intentional act of war or anything. It had the same effects as Hiroshima in some ways and other nuclear disasters, but it was a human error, and it seemed like it gave us the okay to laugh.
Exactly. It's like, why would you go there for a haircut? Why would you go to a Chernobyl level haircut? That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
And you might also throw in one that was a pandemic related one, since everybody's been through it, and a lot of people held off on getting a haircut because of the pandemic, and they didn't want to sit close to somebody. So there might be something there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I like the idea. Hey, Judy, how's it going there?
I'm good.
You feeling better?
I'm feeling better, but I can't taste or smell, which is kind of hard for a food enthusiast.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Judy is a chef, a culinary dietitian extraordinaire. And so losing the sense of taste and smell is just like a punch in the gut for somebody. That'd be like a comedian not being able to speak. So
Yeah, but thanks. I'm so sorry I'm late. I got my time zones mixed up. But
well, tell everybody, Judy, where you live.
I live in Wyoming, and I met Rick, I don't know, umpteen years ago. He was doing a gig for where I used to work. And anyway, he's done some private coaching with me. I speak on health related topics and I teach cooking classes, but I'm always trying to think funny and make it funnier. So the last month hasn't been very funny. And in fact, I said, I need to laugh. My gosh, when you're sick, I had COVID. When you're sick, it can really draw you down. So
yeah, and I sometimes forget how we first met. So this is a quick funny story. I did a gig for it was Western Dairy Farmers or Milk, so something.
yeah.
And it was at the Bronco Stadium, and my hotel was around the corner. So I think I was cabinet there and back. And your husband was with you too, right? Judy, it was
Yep.
you and your husband. And I was talking to him after the show, and I was getting my gear together, and we were all walking through the door at the same time. And then one of us mentioned that I was needing a ride or something. She goes, "Well, we'll just drop you off." And then it was like 5 or 7 years later, she was putting together a speech. She wanted to make it a little bit funnier and was looking for coaching and found me. She's like, "Oh, that's the guy that we gave a ride to."
That's
a
our
random-
hitchhiker. You're our hitchhiker.
Yeah. And I think that's the only time I've ever taken a ride from somebody after a show. I usually I'll go ahead and, so it's just crazy how people's paths cross twice in a lifetime like that.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, we're just kind of, this has been all recorded. So the stuff you missed in the first part, we talked a little bit about navigating all the different restrictions of political correctness and wokeness and that kind of stuff, just in personal examples that popped up in some shows. And then we just shifted towards working on some jokes here as we wrap up. So we just tackled John. He's got a joke about doing his own haircuts and maybe opening up his own barber shop with some cool slogans and haircut ideas. And I'll come to you last in case you have an idea since you just joined on. But we've got Kevin.
Let me just tag on that because you were just saying about that people don't want to sit next to each other. And I think sometimes we've used COVID of that. But now I'm wondering about as the holidays approach, we were kind of safe from seeing those weird relatives during the pandemic. So what's our excuse going to be this year when we have, when maybe we are seeing people? So.
That's true. Like we have to come up with a new reason.
Not to go to the crazy uncles.
Let's go back to the old reasons. You're a nut.
Go ahead. Thank you for saying hi.
Sure. Well, Kevin's down in the Dallas, Texas area. So
Judy.
Do you have a joke that's floating through your head that you're going to put in your set list this Wednesday you want to run by us?
I think I'm pretty much set, to be honest with you. That's what, remember, I know I emailed you this week regarding the opening of the jokes. And I think one of my biggest questions is any comedian still doing COVID jokes? Is it still relevant for today, even though we're still in this pandemic? There seems like any sensibility to that. And the reason why I say that, because it's going on now in 2 years, and you kind of like think like, I want to see everybody just talking about it. Will I be considered as a hack? Or whatnot? Because that's one thing I didn't want to get into the routine of, is that everybody's saying the same thing on stage. And sometimes I think, what if I come late to an open mic? What if somebody already said those jokes and it's just like, I just heard that from Max earlier. Did you not say that? And that's one thing I was thinking about, because I know I had one that, for safety reason, my wife and I have been practicing social distancing. We haven't seen each other in 2 years. So that was one of the things I was thinking about, just all the common like jokes. Even this one here where I say that, I say my buddy Tyrone got underlying health conditions and he refused to wear a face mask in public. That's like having unprotected sex with a prostitute. Dangerous. He might catch a virus that can't be quarantined. So I didn't know, would that be like a little too sensitive for the audience? Because I guess one thing that I'm thinking in my mind, even though I'm a clean comedian, I want to be respectful, but at the same time, I want others to have a good time. And I don't know if somebody like lost a loved one due to COVID, because I know I lost a couple family members, about not even 3 months ago. So I didn't know how sensitive will that be. Should I go ahead and go forward with that, or should I just stay, with the relatable things that's going on in my life at this time, which is being trapped in the house for so long that whenever I walk outside to take a fresh breath air, that COVID is wearing a face mask. That's something I can go forward with, or just pump my brakes on it.
Yeah, I think you got a few questions there. So one, I think it's still okay to do jokes about COVID. There's been a lot of them, so you just want to make sure your jokes are better than all the ones you've heard or all the ones you've done in the past. But I think the key to it is just making it relative to you. So you're talking about what's going on in your life. Well, if there's still elements of that going on in your life, then yeah, I think it's great to bring up.
Okay.
And then as far as like, everybody's been affected by it, whether it's friends or personally. And, we've lost a lot of comedians and stuff actually from it. So one thing I always say before I get into my COVID bit is like, man, I know this past year has been tough on everybody. And, there's no way around it. Everybody's been affected differently. And then I tell them how I was affected. And so I've already kind of said, I know this is a tough topic, but I'm here to do comedy. And I tell you, after every show, people will come up and say, man, I'm glad you joked about that, because it's people are tiptoeing around it. And it's not like I've got incredible insight, but the joke I have is just about the attitudes that people had towards each other during COVID. Like my whole 5-minute COVID chunk is all about how we don't have enough empathy for other people. And so that's the way I approached it, but I didn't realize till after I'd done the jokes for a couple of months that that's why I can talk about it, because I'm coming at it from, we need to be more patient with each other. We need to show more grace. But I show all these examples where people are angry at me for making a choice of, I got the vaccine and my friend was mad at me for getting it, or I was putting on a mask and this lady popped out of nowhere and she's mad at me. And I'm just saying, you do what you got to do. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, And so I think if you keep it personal, and that's with all jokes of any topic, if you make it about you, it totally makes sense that you're talking about it.
Yeah. Like the one, sorry I cut you out, Rick. Like the one I talked about, like, coming home that, I got to get, get my temperature checked by my wife. And, she look at me, stop whining like a baby. So I just man up and bend over. So I thought about what you were saying, like just make it personal in a way that, they won't say, oh, he's picking on us or he's talking about us. And what you said in the beginning make perfect sense, because it's like you throwing your disclaimer out there, letting like, hey, we all been affected by this in some kind of, way, but this is me. This is what I experienced. So what you're saying, basically just keep it personal instead of trying to attack somebody, period.
Yeah. If you show, and I don't have a lot of jokes like this, and I think it's my other favorite part about doing my COVID biz, because I've got 2 people that are yelling at me for making my choice, and I get to respond to that. It's a different dynamic, because people are like, oh man, that guy shouldn't have said that, or that woman was rude to you. And it gives you a chance to kind of switch into a different gear, as opposed to most of my show, I'm kind of goofy or whatever. I thought of a line for you though, right there when you said, we still do temperature checks at my house. My wife checks me for COVID, and it might be funny if you check her temperature for menopause. Some of the things we learned in COVID.
Really want me to be on the couch, Rick, right?
Yeah. Save my marriage.
I was wondering about the COVID thing. Again, like what you're talking about, personalize it, how you've been personally affected. Like Judy, you're a chef, you're into connoisseur food, and you tell people you lost your sense of taste and smell, and you can say, well, that's okay because I heard McDonald's is hiring, or something like that. So you're taking your personal experience. It sounds like a bad thing, but you're making a good thing, but making a comment about it.
Oh, that's a great angle. Like,
I like
one of the benefits of not being able to taste anything is I can enjoy McDonald's again, or wherever,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's golden right there, because not only that, but you showing that personal side of you, how you've been affected. And you never know, somebody else in the audience might be going through the exact same thing. So if you were to say something like that, you probably made that person the whole night, probably their whole week. So that's pretty awesome, because losing your I've been there before, losing your taste. I can't even taste my wife cooking, which is a good thing. So I'm gonna leave it alone like that.
Yeah, I mean, there could be other benefits. Like I only do laundry once a month now, because the smell doesn't, or
No,
your
you only
husband's
take
laundry.
the trash out every other week because you can't smell the trash.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's perfect. And then I've got one line where I play on
That's so funny.
the lack of sense of taste with this lady's attire. That's the way that she's dressed. But you could have a couple of plays on, since you have no sense of taste anymore. You've been watching The Real Housewives of Laramie, or Cheyenne, or something like that.
Nice, Rick.
Been watching all these, I don't know, whoever's movies you think are in poor taste or whatever. So that would open up a few because they'll expect you to talk about food every time, but with taste you can take them a different direction.
Do a callback to Max. What about Modern Family?
Yeah, don't watch a lot of Modern Family. Could be taste in art. I don't know, sports that you don't like, now you like them or whatever. There could be a few different things you can go with that.
Yeah, man, that's a whole chunk right there, to be honest with you.
Well, I was wondering too, like, so, I'm just like everybody else. If something doesn't smell good, I'm not going to eat it. But maybe if I couldn't smell or taste, I would actually eat asparagus or some things that, have a
Yeah.
really strong aroma or flavor to them that I wouldn't eat before. And I also wondered too, with the like jalapenos and really spicy food, I'm sure you could still sense some kind of spiciness, but you wouldn't be able to maybe, like, could I eat Nashville hot chicken now with all the super hot spices in it?
Mm.
I could at least get it down. I don't know if I can keep it down, but I could at least get it into my mouth where I couldn't do it right now. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm looking at like wordplay too, things and just not like you just don't have a taste for it. You can go so many angles. That's the crazy thing about it. That's golden right there.
Yeah, maybe you put on a leisure suit and ate a McRib, so I've got no sense of taste.
Oh, that's funny.
And you're kind of combining and tag teaming and take it to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Rick, I know you do a taste thing when you're talking to the lady, right? About
Yeah, she's wearing socks and Crocs and a pajama top. And I'm like, maybe you ought to get tested for COVID. Looks like you lost your sense of taste, Karen.
Yeah. So I think we need to be careful because that's a good Rick joke there.
I know, right? I gotta feel like I didn't hear that one. That was good, Rick.
Thank you. Max, did you have anything you?
Well, I would just say, Ken, the word, when you bring in the word prostitute, I think that's a word that's going to immediately bring some thoughts to people's mind, because you're getting into lifestyles where people maybe are, into something very dark or forced into something very dark or whatever. So I would be careful with the wording of how what you bring into a COVID joke. But I think what Rick is saying about talking from personal experience, and also he's got a message when he's doing that setup. Like, we need to be more respectful towards one another. So, man, if he said that to me when he's about to do a joke, I would be ready to go into some really controversial areas, because he's already affirmed that we need to be more respectful towards one another.
Yeah.
So that's exactly right. That those setups and that messaging that you're doing in the premise, I think, gives you license to go places that other people couldn't go because they didn't have the right setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of picked up in business, studying different businesses and conflict resolution, is if you have a heated argument going with somebody, if you just use the phrase, would you be willing to listen to a different point of view just to listen to it? It's a yes answer they have to give. If they say no, then they know they're part of the problem.
Mhm.
So in comedy, if you say, I know that we need to be more empathetic with people. People should be nodding their head, because if they're not, then they're the people that aren't being empathetic. So it's not like a trick, but it's a way to shift their mindset to be open to something that they may not be open to before. So they can still disagree with you at the end of the joke, but at least during the premise and the joke, they can see that other points of view can be funny or valid. And I have a big, so when I warm up the Huckabee audience, they're very conservative, right wing, and I know exactly where they stand political. But sometimes they're just flat out wrong. Like, it's not okay for Donald Trump to incite people to take over and riot and things, whether it's subtle or not. And so I'll have to find ways to let them hear how ridiculous what's going on is. And I'm not going to lose my job over there warming up an audience if I take an opposing point of view, but I have to find a way to get it in front of them so they can see it. And hopefully they walk out and go, yeah, maybe that was a little bit too much. Maybe sometimes he is his own worst enemy, So there's just ways you can kind of get into it.
So basically just playing it safe whenever you're doing that setup. And I guess just like you said, are you willing to listen to a different point of view and set up in a way that can be well received instead of saying, all right, this guy got one time to mess up and we're going at him. Get ready.
Yeah, that's it too. Like and sometimes when I get into that segment, I might say something slightly different where I go, we're 50-50 divided on everything in this country, but we can all agree that neither side is right all the time.
Yeah.
And then you set it up to where, whatever I say, they're like, well, that's funny, but he's not right, because I give them permission for me not to be right as well. But if you come at it like, here's the way it is, guys, this is the only way it is, then they can definitely say no, because nothing's one way all the time. So, and I'm sure there's comics out there that are extremely successful that would disagree with everything I just said. They're like, no, man, it's your point of view, and that's why they're coming to the show. But in my shows, I'm there. They didn't even know I was going to be there 90% of the time. So I'm there to entertain everybody that showed up. And I know that they're 50-50 in almost all the circumstances,
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the controversy with Dave Chappelle? And have you guys watched the latest special that he did?
I did, and then I didn't, and then I did. So it's very.
I'm kind of scratching my head. I understand how people could hear, on the subject of this and immediately go, well, they shouldn't be talking. But that special, I watched the whole thing. He's very pro rights for the transsexuals and the people that are, having other lifestyles. He doesn't think you get to automatically say you're this when you're not. But the woman he's talking about in the special that became a dear friend of his, and she took her own life. And he set up a memorial fund for the daughter or the child of that person. And I think he comes off very well. And I think that's why he's getting standing ovations walking into places now where people are pushing back against this narrative of, we're going to cancel you because you touched on a subject. But I think you have to look at what did they actually say on the subject, and what are they actually trying to do by bringing up that subject. And I think he does, to me, anybody that's saying we should cancel him because of, I think they're kind of dead wrong, because he doesn't come off that way if you really watch the special. But if you just watch a news blurb from a news media outlet and don't see his special, you just think he brought up a sensitive subject, so it is a minefield. It's tough times out there, but I think we have to listen to what people are actually saying and give them a chance,
Yeah, well, it could definitely be a whole nother hour on that topic.
Yeah.
But I agree. Here's where I was with it. I've watched his other specials that he's done just because I think he's got a very specific, good, clear voice, and he's very thoughtful about his topic. So I had seen what he'd said about those different groups in the previous special. So I had the subtext to this new special. But even in the new special, after about 20 minutes, I had to turn it off. I'm like, man, this is just, it was sloppy. He wasn't as articulate, and he wasn't as clear. It didn't set up the ideas with as much clarity as he had in the past. I think he was assuming that if you're watching this one, you've watched the rest. And so I think for people who just watched that new one, they didn't know where his mind or his heart was coming from those other ones. And because it was sloppy, it really, some of the first 20 minutes looked like open mic quality material to me, as far as how thought out it was. And then I turned it off. And then a couple days later, I read where he said, you need to watch the whole special to understand.
That's right. That's exactly
So then I watched the whole special. I'm like, okay.
He fell in love with this person. They became really, really tight friends. And he actually, by listening to her and what she went through, he got it. And so that's why when I see people that, come out really vehemently against him, I'm like, did they really see the whole last part and how you could hear a pin drop when he was sharing from the heart about how he loved this person who had a different lifestyle than his. And he was asking that person for help to understand what that experience is like. And so, we're so quick to draw a pistol now when we want to judge somebody or think we know what they're actually,
Yeah, I
trying
think
to say.
if he'd set up that part you were just mentioning earlier, then people would be able to see where he's going. But he brings that in kind of later in the special.
Yeah, but it's part of the comedy. It's part of the comedy setup, of him learning something. And, it's, but I see what you're saying. Like you and I, we go into these corporate events, you're just on the bill. You're not there. They didn't show up to see you. You're there to entertain them because you were part of the program. So they don't know who you are. They're not paying a ticket to come see you and your political point of view. You've got to be real careful about how you present yourself and your ideas. And then also what we were talking about, which is the people, what their actual perceptions are.
Yeah.
Perceptions can be off. So you got to even be careful there. That's where Dave Chappelle is. Their perception of him is he's against transsexuals, but that's totally wrong. So It doesn't matter that he's not. He's by what he's done, he's created a perception, because not everybody's going to have all the information of what he shared. So we have to be, as comedians, we have to be real careful of those perceptions.
I think
Even if
now.
they're false.
Oh, sorry about that. You were still talking,
No,
Max.
sorry.
Sorry about that. But I think now we're in an age now when I take a look back at some of my favorite comedians, like Richard Pryor was always my favorite comedian as a kid. I used to sneak and listen to him when my grandmother was deep in church, but for some odd reason she had the VHS tapes laying around. I just look at it and was like, oh man, this guy's going through the same thing I'm going through. His mom was a prostitute. My mom was a prostitute. He was raised by his grandmother. I was raised by my grandmother. You started seeing that and started like, wow. Then you get into the Eddie Murphy. Remember when Eddie Murphy had that big special back in the days, Rick? Well, I'm 42, so we all should know. Remember, I think it was Raw or Delirious, it was one of them, where he was expressing those comic views that he had, those point of views. And at that time, I'm going to be honest, the world wasn't ready for that in the way he expressed that. But years later, when you fast forward, it's like now you got to be careful what you say, because man, you get canceled on the spot. I mean, hey, this is a cancel culture now. Sometime when I'm praying, I hope God don't cancel me out.
Right.
So it just it's like being careful what you say. That's why a lot of times when I write something, I'm trying to see what consequences this is going to play going forward. Is this something somebody going to come at me? Like I did a show a couple of years ago where I said, I never had a close relationship with my mom because she was always working late as a prostitute. Everybody, like, it was relatable. It was funny. Then someone came after the show and said, you should not talk about your mom like that. And I said, I know, that's why it's not your mom, it's mine. And so, but still that plays a role, because it's more of, it's like the world become it's sensitive now. I mean, you have to be careful in everything that you do, everything that you say. But if we could put the same type of energy that we put in trying to counsel somebody, why we cannot put the same kind of energy in things that really matter?
Yeah.
So that's how I see it, because these comedians out here, it's been a tough year. And I mean, I can't even call myself a comedian yet. I just call myself a performer, because when you come to see Cannon on stage, I want to give you a show. That's why you paid your money. That's why you came to see me. That's why you came to an open mic, to laugh. But at the same time, I have to be mindful of that. Hey, if I say something wrong, I might be that next person blasted all over Facebook or social media. And, I don't, as somebody trying to come up as a comedian one day, that I don't want to be plastered for something I said 2 or 3 years ago, and now it's affecting my life going forward.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that. And like I said, I saw the Dave Chappelle show. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed, but as somebody that understands the structure, the technique, I understand the logic of it, because I've seen all his past comedy setup. But for somebody like you said, Rick, don't even know Dave Chappelle and just now coming on board, this guy had tremendous growth from 20 years ago to now. So you can see the growth in it. And some people just not gonna like Dave Chappelle, just to be honest with you. In the beginning, I didn't like Dave Chappelle, but I grew and liked it as a audience member and as a featured comedian because I understand the logic that was going behind everything he was saying. Because for one, he was growing into his own POV, his own point of view. Because Dave Chappelle can't be like every other comedian. I can't be like Richard Pryor. I can't be like Eddie Murphy. I can't be like Rick Roberts. I got to find out who I am as a comedian, and I have to stick to it, whether people like it or not. It's an acquired taste.
Guys, I gotta go. I want to thank you, Rick, for letting me be on this. Very, very good. Thanks for helping with the joke. Just let me say one thing as I'm leaving. I woke up one morning with this phrase in my mind. Comedy is saying the worst thing at the worst time to the right person.
And I'll add in the right way.
In the right way. Yeah. Yeah. And I look to my example is Jesus, who got in a whole lot of trouble for saying the worst thing at the worst time to the right people that they needed to hear in the right way. So we do have, I think, a higher level, make laugh, but also relay some kind of truth, life-changing, life-impacting truth. So that's my own philosophy. So
Well, I think it's a good place to leave it. I've got to go take care of the kids and everything, get them some lunch going. But man, it's a good topic today. Good conversation. Anybody that came in a little bit late, it's all recorded. So maybe go back and catch the first part where we talked about some of this as well. But glad you guys showed up this morning. I'll try to get another one of these in before the end of the year. Max?
Judy, I just want to say one thing about taste and smell loss. I have friends in medical research and medicine, and they're learning that Pepsid AC works to help clean your cells out of the spike protein that's causing the taste and smell loss. Look up Pepsid AC. The active ingredient is famotidine. So
Max is right. I have a friend that told me the same thing 3 months ago. So great job, Max.
I have friends that it's already helped. That we pass this information on successfully to people. We know this works.
and
Thank
Judy
you.
McDonald's is paying $17 an hour, just saying.
Yeah.
All right. I might have to go look that up today for part-time.
All right,
All
see you
We're
guys.
glad
Thanks,
I hopped
everybody.
in and heard all the taste stuff. I hadn't even thought of, how to make that funny. So thank you so much. It was great.
You bet. You guys take it easy. Have a great weekend.
Hey, have a great one.
See you.
Bye-bye.